Welcome to the deep dive. We're doing something a little different today. We're diving into a trivia challenge, and this time we're focusing on the life and career of Donald Trump.
Yeah, I'm excited for this change of pace. It's kind of amazing how much we think we know about someone, even a public figure like Trump, but there are always like these intriguing details that are hiding beneath the surface.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Consider this a fun little test of your Trump knowledge.
Mm.
No political debates today, just pure trivia. So let's get started.
All right, first question. What year was Donald Trump born? Was it A, 1945, B, 1946, or C, 1947?
Those years are all clustered around some pretty major historical events. Tricky.
If you chose 1945, you might be associating his birth with the end of World War II, a huge year, but not the year Trump was born.
Trying to connect it to a momentous event. Clever tactic, but not quite right.
The answer is 1946. That puts him right in the baby boomer generation. This is a detail that's readily available in tons of biographical accounts of his life. Now, this seemingly simple fact gives us an interesting way to look at Trump.
Interesting point.
The baby boomer generation was shaped by the prosperity and anxieties after the war. They had a huge impact on American culture and politics.
You're right. Some even argue that the boomers' emphasis on individual achievement and material success really resonates with Trump's own worldview.
Exactly. And one source goes so far as to link the generation's sense of entitlement and their belief in American exceptionalism to Trump's America First rhetoric, which, of course, as we all know, became a defining feature of his political platform.
Yeah, makes sense. It's fascinating how these early influences can echo throughout someone's entire life.
All right, on to question number 2. What is Donald Trump's middle name? Is it A, John, B, James, or C, Joseph?
This seems straightforward, but middle names can be surprisingly tricky.
I bet a lot of people would guess James. It was a really common middle name for his generation, but that's not the case here.
It certainly lacks that Trumpian flair, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. The correct answer is John, so his full name is Donald John Trump. This was in a bunch of sources, including one that was like just a whole compilation dedicated to all sorts of interesting tidbits about him.
All right, on to question number 3. Which university did Trump graduate from? Was it A, Harvard University, B, Yale University, or C, University of Pennsylvania?
So it's easy to assume he went to Harvard or Yale. Those schools are like always associated with figures of power and influence.
The Ivy League allure. It seems like everyone who's anyone went to Harvard or Yale. But does that apply to Trump?
Not in this case. The answer is the University of Pennsylvania. Trump got an economics degree from the Wharton School of Business there. It's clearly stated in his biography.
So while he might not be an Ivy League grad in the traditional sense, Wharton is no slouch when it comes to prestigious business schools.
Absolutely. They've got a long list of successful business leaders and entrepreneurs that graduated from there. And some people argue that Trump's time at Wharton, being surrounded by this ambitious, deal-making culture, actually pushed him further toward his own business goals.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how much his education shaped his whole approach to deal-making and negotiation. You know, those skills that he touted throughout his career.
That's such a good point. It's like this seemingly minor detail about his university actually opens up a whole new way of thinking about the development of Trump's business persona.
Yeah, I love how a single trivia question can lead to such thought-provoking insights.
Okay, speaking of thought-provoking, let's move on to question 4. What was Trump's campaign slogan in 2016? Was it A, yes we can, B, make America great again, or C, a future to believe in?
Okay, this takes us back to pre-political Trump. You know, the one who became a household name through reality TV.
So, yes we can, and a future to believe in. They're powerful slogans for sure, but they belong to other big political figures.
Yeah, definitely not Trump style. Those slogans feel like hope and unity. A very different approach than the one Trump chose.
You're right. The answer is, of course, make America great again, or MAGA for short. This slogan became ingrained in American political discourse. Whether that's good or bad is up for debate.
It definitely tapped into something powerful, like this longing for a perceived past greatness. But what does great even mean in that context?
That's a really good question. One source argues that Make America Great Again intentionally didn't have any specific policy proposals. It let people project their own desires and frustrations onto it.
So it worked less as a detailed plan and more like a rallying cry. A way to mobilize people who were feeling left behind or just disillusioned by the status quo.
Precisely.
Fascinating how a simple slogan can hold so many complex meanings and interpretations. Let's test our knowledge on a different part of Trump's life. Question number 5. How many children does Donald Trump have? A, 3, B, 4, or C, 5?
Picking either 3 or 4 means you're leaving out some important members of the Trump family.
Oh, it's like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. The Trump family dynamics can be a challenge to keep up with.
That's true. The correct answer is 5. So you've got Donald Jr., Ivanka, Eric, Tiffany, and Barron. That's the whole gang. There are a lot of sources about his family, and they all agree on that.
Wow, 5 children. That's a full house.
Yeah, it is. And each one of them, in their own way, has had to deal with the complications of being a Trump, both during and after his presidency.
I'd love to dig into the whole experience of growing up as a Trump. That has got to be so unique.
Oh, for sure. Like one source that we looked at, it talked about how Ivanka and Donald Jr., they became really involved in their dad's businesses and his political stuff. But Tiffany and Barron have stayed much more private.
Right. And let's not forget the role that the Trump kids played in shaping the public's perception of the family, especially during those highly publicized years when he was president.
That's true. Their personalities and choices often got mixed up with their father's political brand.
Fascinating stuff. It just goes to show that even family matters can become really intertwined with political narratives.
Moving on to question number 6. Which reality TV show did Trump host before he became president? Was it A, Survivor, B, The Apprentice, or C, Big Brother?
This one requires keeping those Trump siblings straight. It's kind of a family tree puzzle.
Picking Eric or Donald Jr. means you're mixing up the Trump brothers.
Oh, getting those family ties tangled.
The correct answer is Barron. He was born in 2006, the only child from Trump's marriage to Melania. This is mentioned in pretty much any article or resource you can find about his family.
Okay, so there's like a pretty big age difference between Barron and his older siblings, right?
Yeah, a pretty substantial one. So while his siblings were already adults when their dad was president, Barron lived through it as a little kid. One source that we looked at found that really interesting.
I'm so curious what impact that had on him, growing up in the White House, being shielded from the public eye in so many ways.
Right. It's a question that people might explore more in future biographies, maybe even memoirs by people who are close to the family. We'll have to wait and see.
Moving on to a question that's basically designed to trip you up. Question number 9. Which of these is not one of Trump's wives? A, Ivana, B, Marla, or C, Tiffany?
Okay, so both Ivana and Marla, they were definitely part of Trump's marital history.
Oh, trying to rewrite history here. Definitely not. Tiffany holds a different place in the Trump family tree.
Exactly. The answer is Tiffany. She's his daughter, not one of his wives. Let's make sure we keep those family roles straight.
Moving on to question number 10. What was Trump's first book titled? Was it A, The Art of the Deal, B, Trump, The Art of the Comeback, or C, Think Big and Kick Ass?
Trump, The Art of the Comeback, and Think Big and Kick Ass. I mean, those sound like potential Trump titles, but they weren't his first time writing a book.
Yeah, those titles definitely screen Trump, but we're looking for his literary debut.
Right. The answer is The Art of the Deal. It came out in 1987. This book, it became a bestseller. It was a big part of building his image as a shrewd businessman.
Yeah, this book wasn't just a business manual. It was like a cultural phenomenon. It reflects that 80s obsession with wealth and ambition.
Oh, totally. One source argued that The Art of the Deal, with its bold claims and larger-than-life portrayal of Trump, it really solidified his persona as this master negotiator, a deal maker who always came out on top.
It's so interesting how a book can become so tied to a person's public image.
Absolutely. It shows how carefully crafting a narrative can influence public perception and shape legacies. On to question number 11. In which year did Trump first become president? Was it A, 2016, B, 2017, or C, 2018?
Okay, this one might seem obvious, but it's worth exploring those assumptions.
If you pick 2016, you might be getting tricked. Remember, that was the year of the election, not when he actually took office.
Yeah, that's an important distinction. Election night is not the same as Inauguration Day.
Right. The answer is 2017, the year he was sworn in as the 45th president of the United States.
2017. It feels both recent and so long ago. That year brought so much political and social change.
You're so right. One source described Trump's inauguration as a moment that totally divided the nation. Supporters saw it as a new era beginning, while others felt apprehension and concern.
Yeah, it's a reminder of how impactful that transfer of power can be. It marks a shift in political discourse and national priorities.
Right, question number 12. What is the name of Trump's current wife? Is it A, Ivana, B, Marla, or C, Melania?
All right, we're back to Trump's marital history. This one should be pretty straightforward.
If you chose Ivana or Marla, you'd be forgetting about the order of his marriages.
Those were chapters in his past, not the current one.
Exactly. The answer is Melania. She's been his wife since 2005.
Melania has been pretty private, despite being first lady and thrust into the public eye.
Yeah. One source suggested that her approach to being first lady might be because of her background as a model. Like, she was used to the spotlight, but she was also comfortable with a certain amount of privacy.
Interesting. It shows that even within a marriage that's so high profile, people can still define their own roles and carve out their own space.
All right, let's dive into the world of social media. Question number 13. Which social media platform was Trump known for using extensively? Was it A, Facebook, B, Instagram, or C, Twitter?
Social media. Trump's use of it was both revolutionary and so controversial.
So Facebook and Instagram, they're huge platforms, of course, but they weren't his main way of communicating online.
Yeah. I mean, Facebook feels too mainstream, and Instagram is so visual. Trump's online presence was anything but subtle.
Totally. The answer is Twitter. He was always tweeting frequently and often without any filter. It both captivated and alarmed people.
Twitter was like his virtual megaphone. A way to skip the traditional media and speak right to his followers.
You got it. And one source actually argued that Twitter was a major factor in his rise to power. It let him control the narrative, set the agenda, and connect with voters in a way that traditional politicians hadn't really figured out yet.
Right. It's a prime example of how social media can completely change the political landscape. It blurs the lines between personal communication and official statements from a politician.
Okay. On to question number 14. What was Trump's profession before he got into politics? Was it A, lawyer, B, doctor, or C, businessman?
This one might seem obvious, but it's good to think about those assumptions.
Lawyer or doctor? I mean, those jobs are definitely associated with money and influence, but neither one really describes what Trump did.
Yeah, those are respectable careers, but they don't have that, Trumpian entrepreneurial spirit.
Precisely. The answer is businessman. Before he ran for president, he was already known for his real estate ventures, casinos, and his branding.
His whole business career, with its ups and downs, its controversies and triumphs, really shaped how people saw him long before he got into politics.
Totally. One source that we read argued that Trump's business dealings, especially his bankruptcies and his legal battles, showed that he was willing to take risks and push boundaries. He operated outside of what people considered normal. And these qualities both attracted and turned off voters.
Yeah. It's a reminder that a candidate's past, even their business dealings, can become a big focus in a political campaign.
All right, question number 15. How many times has Trump been impeached? Was it A, once, B, twice, or C, never?
This goes deep into a really important chapter in American political history.
If you answered once, well, you're only telling half the story.
Impeachment doesn't happen easily. It's a major political event. And twice during a single presidency. That's really unprecedented.
You're absolutely right. The answer is twice. The House of Representatives impeached him in 2019 and again in 2021, though he was acquitted by the Senate both times.
Yeah, those impeachment trials were so contentious, they really show how divided the country was.
Definitely. One source argued that those impeachment proceedings, regardless of the outcome, show how fragile American political institutions can be. And they show the challenges of trying to uphold democratic norms when the environment is so polarized.
Wow, that's heavy stuff. It's a reminder that even in a country like ours with a long history of democracy, these systems are not perfect. They need constant attention and commitment to the rule of law to really work.
Okay, moving on. Question 16. Which of these buildings does Trump own? Was it A, the Empire State Building, B, Trump Tower, or C, the Chrysler Building?
All right, we're back to real estate, a world that is just synonymous with the Trump name and brand.
The Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, they're iconic NYC buildings for sure, but they're not part of the Trump real estate world.
Yeah, those are landmarks. They belong to the whole city. They're like symbols of New York's amazing architecture.
Exactly. The right answer is Trump Tower, of course. The skyscraper, right on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. It really embodies the whole Trump brand, with its bold design and its prime location.
Yeah, Trump Tower isn't just a building. It's a statement, like a symbol of wealth, ambition, and this pursuit of success.
Absolutely. One source even described Trump Tower as a monument to Trump's own self-image. It's like a physical representation of his desire to be seen as a global player, a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. It's interesting how buildings can become so intertwined with a person's whole persona.
For sure. All right, question number 17. What is Trump's astrological sign? Is it A, Gemini, B, Cancer, or C, Leo?
Okay, time to get into the world of astrology.
Yeah.
Do the stars hold the secrets to understanding the Donald?
Picking Cancer or Leo might make sense if you're thinking about those signs and the personality traits people usually associate with them, but neither one is his actual sign.
Yeah, I mean, Cancer seems way too sentimental for Trump, and Leo, even though it's bold and assertive, it just doesn't quite feel like it captures all of his complexity.
You're so right. The answer is Gemini. His birthday is June 14th, which makes him a Gemini. They're known for being adaptable, having good communication skills, and for their duality.
Oh, interesting. Geminis are often described as multifaceted individuals, capable of shifting perspectives and adapting to different situations.
Exactly. One source we looked at even suggested that Trump's Gemini nature might be part of why he's able to connect with such different audiences, to appeal to both their hopes and their fears, and to shift his message depending on the situation.
That's such a thought-provoking way to think about astrology.
Mm-hmm.
Not as predicting the future or anything, but as a way of understanding personality traits and communication styles.
All right. On to question number 18. How many Supreme Court justices did Trump nominate during his first term? Was it A2, B3, or C4?
All right. This is a question about legacy.
Mm.
Supreme Court appointments have a long-lasting impact. They shape legal precedents and influence American society for years to come.
Picking either 2 or 4 means you're miscounting those crucial nominations.
Yeah. Each appointment to the Supreme Court is huge. It's a chance for a president to really leave their mark on the judicial system.
You got it. The answer is 3. Trump nominated Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett during his first term.
Yeah, those appointments shifted the balance of power on the Supreme Court. They made a conservative majority, and that will have far-reaching implications for American law and society.
Definitely. One source said that Trump's Supreme Court appointments were some of his most consequential actions as president. His legacy there will be talked about and analyzed for generations.
Wow. It's a reminder of the power that presidents have when it comes to shaping the judicial branch.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder of the lasting impact of those choices.
Okay, on to question number 19. What is Trump's nickname for his presidential airplane? Is it A, Trump Force One, B, Air Force One, or C, the Flying White House?
Right, this one dives into the world of presidential perks and traditions. Always fun to explore.
So Trump Force One sounds like something Trump would totally come up with, but it's not the real name.
Yeah, he has that signature Trump flair, but sometimes reality doesn't quite match his love of branding.
You got it. The answer is Air Force One. It's the official name for any aircraft that's carrying the President of the United States, no matter who's in office.
Air Force One is more than just a plane. It's a symbol of American power and presidential authority. It's recognizable all over the world.
Absolutely. One source described Air Force One as a flying Oval Office, a mobile command center that lets the president conduct business and handle crises from anywhere in the world.
Yeah, it's a reminder of the unique demands and responsibilities that come with being president. You need constant communication and the ability to respond to global events in real time.
All right, let's see how you do with this one. Question number 20. Which of these is not a Trump golf course? Is it A, Trump National Golf Club, B, Trump International Golf Links, or C, Augusta National Golf Club?
Okay, so we all know how much Trump loved golf. His name is on golf courses everywhere.
So Trump National Golf Club and Trump International Golf Links, yeah, those are part of his golf empire for sure. But the third option is kind of special in the world of golf.
Oh, yeah. Augusta National. That's hallowed ground. So much tradition there. It's the home of the Masters tournament.
Right. The answer is Augusta National Golf Club. It's got nothing to do with Trump.
Augusta National represents a totally different kind of prestige. It's a legacy built on history and exclusivity, not on Trumpian branding.
Absolutely. One source even compared Trump's golf courses, which are often super opulent and lavish, with Augusta National's more understated elegance. It shows how their approaches to wealth and status are different.
It's so interesting how golf courses can be reflections of cultural values and personal aesthetics.
All right, time for some 1980s intrigue. Question number 21. What fake name did Trump reportedly use in the 1980s? Was it A, John Barron, B, Fred Trump Jr., or C, Donald Smith?
Wait, a fake name? This sounds like we're in a spy movie. What was he up to?
Fred Trump Jr. and Donald Smith. I mean, neither of those is that clever or surprising.
Yeah, using his dad's name would be way too obvious. And Donald Smith, that just lacks that Trumpian creativity.
The answer is John Barron. What's interesting is he basically combined his middle name, John, with his youngest son's name, Barron.
John Barron. That's a name that hints at family ties but still keeps him separate from his public persona.
Yeah. One source suggested that Trump maybe used this fake name to handle business deals or personal stuff that he wanted to keep secret.
Oh, interesting. It just goes to show that even the most public figures have parts of their lives they want to keep private.
Yeah.
Sometimes a fake name can be helpful for that.
Okay. Question number 22. Which of these countries was not part of Trump's travel ban? Was it A, Iran, B, Syria, or C, Canada?
This brings us back to a really controversial policy. It caused a lot of protests and legal challenges.
Both Iran and Syria were on Trump's travel ban list, and that policy had some serious consequences for people and families trying to get into the U.S.
Right. It sparked a huge national debate about immigration, national security, and religious freedom. It made people ask some big questions about American values and our responsibilities in the world.
The correct answer is Canada. Our neighbors to the north, they were not included in the ban.
Makes sense geographically.
One source we read said that the travel ban included some Muslim-majority countries, but not others, and that fueled accusations that the policy was discriminatory based on religion. It was a big point of contention throughout Trump's presidency.
Yeah. It reminds us that policies, especially those about immigration and national security, can have unintended consequences. They can bring up complex ethical and legal questions.
Okay, now for a question that requires remembering the whole point of this quiz. Question 23. What is Trump's current official title as of March 2025? Is it A, former president, B, president, or C, senator?
Right. This one makes us think within this fictional scenario we've made up for the trivia challenge.
Exactly. So former president wouldn't apply in this case. And senator, well, that's never really been his style.
Senator Trump, I just can't picture that.
So based on the info we've given in this quiz, the answer is president.
So in this alternate timeline, Trump won a second term.
You got it. It's a made-up situation, of course, but it lets us think about possibilities and imagine different political realities.
I like it. All right, question 24. Who is Trump's vice president right now in his second term? Is it A, Mike Pence, B, J.D. Vance, or C, Nikki Haley?
Mike Pence was his VP in his first term. And Nikki Haley, well, she's a big name in the Republican Party, and she was a possible VP pick in the real world.
Right. They were both close to Trump, but in this fictional world, who's his second-term VP?
The answer, if you follow our quiz, is J.D. Vance.
J.D. Vance it is. That's an interesting choice.
Yeah. One source that we read said Vance is part of a new generation of conservative leaders. They have that populist appeal that Trump has, but they also bring their own ideas about policy and their own political style.
It's a good reminder that even within a single political party, there are different perspectives and competing visions for the future.
Last question, number 25. In what year did Trump win his second presidential term? Was it A, 2020, B, 2024, or C, 2028?
Okay, so for this one, we have to remember the timeline of our fictional scenario. Forget about real-world elections for a second.
Picking 2020 or 2028. That doesn't fit with our quiz.
Yeah, we're in an alternate reality here, remember. 2020 already happened in real life, and 2028 is way too far in the future.
The answer is 2024.
2024 it is. Wow. That's it. The end of part 1 of our Trump Trivia Challenge.
How are you feeling after tackling those 25 questions?
Oh, man, my head is spinning. But in a good way. It's amazing how much there is to know about Trump, even beyond all the headlines and the constant news coverage.
That's the whole point of a deep dive like this. We uncover those little hidden gems, those details that help us put together a more complete picture of a complicated guy like Trump.
Absolutely. And making all those connections we made, linking those random facts to bigger trends and historical events, that really added something special to the whole thing.
I'm glad you found it insightful. And remember, this is just the beginning. We still have 35 more questions to go in part 2.
We can't wait.
Wow, that was a fun first round. I'm impressed. You guys really know your Trump trivia. Ready for round 2? We'll uncover some even more interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah. Bring on the next set of trivia. I'm ready to go deeper into Trump world. Everything from his family to his businesses.
All right, here we go. Question 26. What was the name of Trump's father? Was it A, Fred, B, John, or C, Donald Sr.?
Okay, so now we're getting into some family history.
Yeah.
I know Trump comes from money and privilege, but I don't really remember the details of his family.
Well, if you guessed John, you might be thinking of Trump's middle name. And Donald Sr. Well, that would be kind of a weird time paradox.
Yeah, time travel problem.
Yeah.
We'll stick to the real family tree for now.
Okay, so the right answer is Fred. Fred Trump was a big-time real estate developer in New York City, and he's the one who basically built the family fortune. You can find this info in pretty much any biography or article about the Trumps.
Fred Trump. It's a name that gets overshadowed by his son's fame, but he obviously had a huge impact on Donald Trump's life. You know, his early life and his desire to get into business.
Totally. One source talked about how Fred Trump was really strict with his son about working hard, focusing on making deals, and believing in using leverage and negotiation. These ideas became super important to Trump's business style.
Yeah. It makes you think, how much of Trump's success came from what he learned from his father early on? That whole foundation in real estate and being an entrepreneur.
It's a great question. It reminds us that even people who we call self-made are still shaped by those who came before them. The values and experiences that get passed down.
Okay, on to question number 27. In what year did Donald Trump marry his first wife, Ivana? Was it A, 1975, B, 1977, or C, 1979?
If you said 1979, well, their wedding was actually a bit earlier than that.
Not a late 70s wedding then. Okay, getting closer.
The answer is 1977. It was a big, fancy wedding in New York City, and it was all over the news and gossip columns back then.
A super glamorous wedding for a couple that would become, like, the face of New York's social scene and the excesses of the 80s.
For sure. One source said their wedding was like a tiny version of the whole Trump brand, over the top, ambitious, and wanting to make a statement.
Yeah, it's interesting how even personal things, like getting married, can get tied up with a public persona. They become part of a brand, a lifestyle, a way of being in the world.
Okay, let's move on to question 28. Which board game is associated with Donald Trump? Is it A, Monopoly, B, Trump, the game, or C, Risk?
Board games. Okay, this should be good. Monopoly seems like an obvious choice since Trump's all about real estate.
Well,
and Risk. Lace definitely wasn't afraid to take risk in business and politics.
Yeah, Monopoly and Risk are classic games, but neither one was made with Trump in mind.
So we're looking for a game that captures that unique Trump thing, right? Mm-hmm. The ambition, the competition, and maybe a little bit of ruthlessness.
The answer is Trump, the game. It came out in 1989. It was all about capitalizing on his business image. Players could wheel and deal, make deals, and try to bankrupt each other.
Trump, the game. Sounds like a perfect way to sum up his whole business philosophy.
Right. One source said the game is a reflection of how Trump sees the art of the deal. You know, where success is all about how much money you have and how well you can outsmart your competitors.
Wow, it's crazy how even something as simple as a board game can reflect someone's whole worldview.
On to question 29. What's the name of that famous skyscraper in Manhattan where Trump lived and had his business headquarters for so many years? Was it A, the Empire State Building, B, Trump Tower, or C, 40 Wall Street?
Back to New York City real estate. I'm imagining some luxurious penthouse overlooking Central Park, a symbol of Trump's power and success in the city he calls home.
Well, the Empire State Building and 40 Wall Street, they're important NYC buildings, but neither one was Trump's main base.
Those are grand buildings, but they don't have that Trump touch, do they?
The answer, of course, is Trump Tower. This building, with its unique architecture and its prime spot on Fifth Avenue, it's been connected to the Trump brand forever.
Yeah, Trump Tower is almost like a character in the whole Trump story. It's been the backdrop for so many business deals, media appearances, and political moments.
You got it. One source even said Trump Tower is like a physical version of Trump's ego, a huge symbol of his ambition and how much he wants to be seen as a global power player.
Yeah. It's wild how a building can become so connected to a person's identity, like a reflection of their goals and how they see themselves in the world.
Okay. Question number 30. This one takes us to Florida. What's the name of that private club in Palm Beach that Trump owns and hangs out at with his family? Was it A, Mar-a-Lago, B, the Breakers, or C, the Everglades Club?
All right, sunny Florida, a state that's been so important in Trump's life and his political career.
So the Breakers and the Everglades Club, they're both well-known places in Palm Beach, but they don't have that Trump connection.
Yeah, those sound like classic Florida resorts, lots of history and tradition there. We're looking for the place with the Trump name on it, one that reflects his personal style.
The answer is Mar-a-Lago. It's a huge estate, a mix of opulence and old-world charm. It's become synonymous with Trump's Florida getaway, and it's been in the news a lot.
Mar-a-Lago. It's more than just a vacation home. It's a symbol of his wealth, his ties to the elite, and how he likes to create his own world, his own rules, even in a fancy gated community.
You got it. One source even called it a winter White House. It's where Trump continued doing business, meeting with world leaders, and throwing big parties. Kind of blurred the lines between his personal life and his presidential duties.
Yeah, it brings up interesting questions about the role of private spaces in public life, especially for someone who was president.
Okay, on to question number 31. What's the name of the book by Bob Woodward that gives us a look inside the Trump White House? Based on interviews and stories from people who were there. Was it A, Fear, Trump in the White House, B, Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House, or C, All the President's Men?
All right, we're in the world of political journalism now. Bob Woodward is a legend. He's known for his super careful reporting and his big, groundbreaking stories.
So Fire and Fury, yeah, that was a controversial book about the Trump presidency, but Bob Woodward didn't write it. And All the President's Men, well, that's a classic investigative journalism story, but it's about Watergate.
Right. Fire and Fury was like a gossipy, over-the-top look at the Trump White House. And All the President's Men goes way back to a different political scandal. We want the Woodward book that's all about Trump's time in office.
You're right. The answer is Fear, Trump in the White House. It came out in 2018. It was a critical look at how Trump did things as president, and it used accounts and interviews from people who worked closely with him.
Fear. That's a powerful title. It makes you think about all the unease and anxiety people felt about what was going on inside the Trump White House.
Yeah, for sure. One source described the book as a really disturbing look at a president who acted impulsively, didn't listen to experts, and created this chaotic atmosphere within his own administration.
It's a reminder that even the most powerful people can be driven by fear, insecurity, and wanting to control everything. And those emotions can really affect the decisions they make.
Question number 32. Which of these is a famous catchphrase that Trump uses all the time? Is it A, Make America Great Again, B, You're Fired, or C, I'll be back?
Okay, time to test our knowledge of Trump's catchphrases. Make America Great Again was his big slogan, a rallying cry for his fans, and I'll be back. Well, let's just say Trump loves to hint that he might come back, even when things aren't going his way.
So, Make America Great Again was his big political slogan, and I'll be back. That's a famous line from an action movie star. Neither of those is the catchphrase we're after.
Yeah. We need the phrase that really shows his personality, that brash, no-nonsense style, the one that became super famous on his reality TV show and then followed him into politics.
The answer is You're Fired. That line was everywhere on The Apprentice. It showed how quick he was to make decisions, and it kind of scared people, but they were also drawn to it.
You're fired. It's so blunt and powerful and delivered with that classic Trump swagger. It's crazy how much a simple phrase can become part of someone's public image.
Totally. One source even said that You're Fired became like a metaphor for how Trump led. Quick to judge, quick to act, and not worried about being polite or playing by the rules of politics.
Yeah. It shows how powerful language can be. It can shape how we see people and reinforce a persona, even when those words are from a reality TV show.
On to question number 33. What's the name of Donald Trump's niece? The clinical psychologist who's written a book criticizing her uncle, was it A, Ivanka Trump, B, Mary Trump, or C, Tiffany Trump?
All right, back to the Trump family. This time we're talking about a family member who isn't afraid to criticize Trump. She gives us a different view of the man behind the public image.
Ivanka and Tiffany are both daughters of Donald Trump, not his nieces.
Right. They've mostly supported their father, even with all the challenges of staying loyal to family while being in such a crazy political world.
The answer is Mary Trump. She is a clinical psychologist and an author. She wrote a book all about her family, looking at how they interact and analyzing her uncle's personality and behavior.
Mary Trump's book gave us a really unique, and I'd say controversial, look at how the Trump family works. She suggests that the way they behave and the power dynamics within the family might have shaped Donald Trump's worldview and his style of leadership.
It's a perspective that challenges the usual stories about Trump. It uses psychology to help us understand what motivates him and why he does what he does.
Let's move on to question number 34. What's the name of that White House press secretary who worked for Trump and was known for her tough, no-nonsense press briefings? Was it A, Kellyanne Conway, B, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, or C, Hope Hicks?
Okay, so Kellyanne Conway and Hope Hicks, they were big names in the Trump administration, but they weren't press secretaries.
Right. Kellyanne Conway was a counselor to the president. She gave advice and spoke for him a lot. And Hope Hicks handled communications behind the scenes. We're looking for the person who stood at the podium, facing the press every day.
The answer is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She was the White House press secretary from 2017 to 2019. She was known for defending Trump fiercely and for getting into some pretty heated arguments with reporters.
Oh, man. Those press briefings were must-see TV. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, she was like a lightning rod. People either loved her or hated her, depending on their politics.
Definitely. One source said she was a really good communicator. She got Trump's message across and defended him even when the media was super critical.
It reminds you how hard it is to be a press secretary.
Yeah.
You have to manage the relationship between the president and the press, especially when everything is so divided politically.
On to question number 35. Which one of these conservative news outlets is a big supporter of Donald Trump and pushes his views a lot? Is it A, Fox News, B, CNN, or C, MSNBC?
All right, this question gets into the whole world of the media and how it connects to political power. It's a complicated relationship that's always changing.
If you pick CNN or MSNBC, you're not quite remembering which way those news organizations lean politically. They've often been critical of Trump and what he does, offering a different view from the more supportive coverage you find in other places.
Yeah, CNN and MSNBC tend to lean left, while Fox News has become the place for conservative voices and a platform for Trump's supporters.
You got it. The answer is Fox News. This channel played a huge role in spreading Trump's message, defending him, and shaping how people saw his presidency, especially among his base of supporters.
Yeah, Fox News was a battleground for information and misinformation. It reflected how divided the country was and how hard it was for people to figure out what was true and what was just opinion, with so many different voices out there.
Yeah. One source even said that Fox News was like an echo chamber for people who support Trump. It reinforced what they already believed and kept them from hearing other viewpoints.
It's a reminder of how powerful the media is when it comes to shaping what people think, setting the agenda for political debates, and influencing how we understand the world.
All right. Question 36. What's the name of that special counsel who was appointed to investigate Russia's interference in the 2016 election? And any possible links to the Trump campaign.
Let's do three.
A, Robert Mueller, B, James Comey, or C, Rudy Giuliani?
The Russia investigation. This takes us back to one of the most important and controversial chapters of Trump's presidency.
James Comey as the FBI director and Rudy Giuliani as Trump's personal lawyer were both involved in the whole Russia thing, but neither one of them was the special counsel.
Right. Trump fired James Comey, and that caused a huge political mess. And Rudy Giuliani became one of Trump's strongest defenders. He was always in the news saying something outrageous. But we're looking for the person who actually led the investigation.
The answer is Robert Mueller. He was appointed in 2017 to be the special counsel, and he led a huge investigation. He released a detailed report in 2019 that looked at Russia's interference in the 2016 election and whether the Trump campaign obstructed justice.
The Mueller investigation was like a cloud hanging over Trump's presidency. It fueled so many fights between Democrats and Republicans and made people question the integrity of our elections and the rule of law.
Absolutely. One source said the Mueller report was a turning point in American politics. It showed how vulnerable our democratic systems are and how hard it is to hold powerful people accountable for what they do.
It's a reminder that even in a country like ours with a long history of democracy, our systems can be messed with from the outside or corrupted from the inside. We have to be careful and stay committed to transparency to protect those systems.
Question number 37. Which of these is a common nickname for Donald Trump? The kind of nickname both his supporters and his critics use. Is it A, the Donald, B, Sleepy Joe, or C, Crooked Hillary?
Nicknames. They can be terms of endearment, insults, or just easy ways to refer to someone. But in politics, they usually mean something more. They can reflect admiration, disgust, or just a desire to make complicated people into simple labels.
So, Sleepy Joe and Crooked Hillary. Those were nicknames that Trump himself came up with for his political rivals, Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, those were definitely Trump-style insults. He was really good at creating nicknames for his opponents that were memorable, even if they were mean.
The right answer here is the Donald. You see this nickname in the media, and people use it all the time. It captures that swagger he has, that larger-than-life persona that goes beyond typical political labels.
The Donald, yeah. It rolls off the tongue. It's familiar, but also kind of bold. It's like you know him, even if you've never met him.
Exactly. One source even said the Donald became a kind of brand itself, a shorthand way to refer to a certain kind of wealth, ambition, and shamelessly promoting yourself.
It's amazing how a nickname can become so embedded in our culture. It's a shortcut for a complicated person and everything we associate with that name.
Question number 38. What's the name of the Political Action Committee, KC, that was created to support Donald Trump's political goals. You know, the one that's still raising money for him and his allies. Was it A, Save America, B, America First Action, or C, the Lincoln Project?
All right, we're getting into the world of PACs now, those political fundraising machines that are so important in American elections these days. They're often mysterious groups working behind the scenes, but they have a huge impact on campaigns and policy debates.
The Lincoln Project was actually created by Republicans who didn't like Trump and wanted to stop him from getting reelected in 2020. They had a lot of money and were very vocal. They really wanted to prevent him from winning again.
Right. They made some ads that were really hard to forget, often attacking Trump's character and how he led. We're looking for the PAC that was on Trump's side, the one that helped him achieve his political ambitions.
Both Save America and America First Action. Those names definitely fit with Trump's message. This is a tricky one.
Yeah, they both sound very Trumpian. It's a subtle difference, but I'm sure there's a story behind each one.
The correct answer is Save America. This PAFI was formed after the 2020 election, and it's been a big part of his political activities since he left office. It lets him keep raising money, influencing Republican candidates, and staying in control of the party's base.
Save America. Wow, that's a powerful name. It makes you think about urgency and patriotism, and it speaks to those who believe that Trump's the only one who can fix America and bring back its glory days.
You got it. One source describes Save America as proof of how much influence Trump still has within the Republican Party. It's a sign that his brand and his ability to get supporters fired up are still strong, even though he's not in the White House anymore.
Yeah. It's a reminder that political power isn't always about holding office. Sometimes it's about having loyal followers, controlling what people hear and see, and using your influence behind the scenes.
All right, question 39. What's the name of the social media platform that Trump and his team launched? You know, after he got banned from Twitter, they wanted an alternative to Twitter. Was it A, Truth Social, B, Parler, or C, Gab?
Ah, yes, the social media saga. Trump's relationship with social media was both groundbreaking and totally crazy. He used it to talk directly to his fans, skip over traditional news outlets, and control his own message.
So Parler and Gab, those are popular with conservative users, but Trump didn't create them.
Right. They were already around, and they became places where people who felt like they were being censored or pushed aside by mainstream social media could go. We're looking for the platform that was specifically meant for Trump and his followers.
The answer is Truth Social. They launched it in 2022 as a way for Trump to get around the ban he got from Twitter and other big social media companies. It's where he can share his unfiltered thoughts, connect with his base, and create his own version of events.
Truth Social. It's kind of ironic, but also revealing. It's like he's claiming to be the only one telling the truth, rejecting what he calls the fake news from mainstream media.
Yeah. One source described Truth Social as a kind of online echo chamber for Trump's most dedicated fans. It's a place where nobody challenges what he says and his worldview gets stronger, which just makes the political divisions in the country even worse.
It's a reminder that social media can connect people, but it can also tear them apart. It can make our biases worse and create these alternate realities that cater to specific ideologies.
Okay. Question number 40. What's the name of Donald Trump's second wife? You know, the one he married in 1993 and divorced in 1999. Was it A, Ivana, B, Marla Maples, or C, Melania?
Back to Trump's marriages, trying to keep up with all the ups and downs in his personal life.
Picking Ivana or Melania means you're mixing up the order of his wives. We're talking about a second wife, the one who was part of a specific time in his life, you know, when he was going from being this successful real estate guy to becoming more of a celebrity.
Right. Ivana was his first wife. She was there when he became a big name in the New York social scene. And Melania is his current wife, the one who had to deal with being first lady. We're looking for the one who is in between those two eras.
The answer is Marla Maples. Their relationship and their marriage, it was all over the tabloids. It was a big spectacle that everyone was talking about.
Marla Maples, she had a different kind of glamour. She was a Hollywood actress.
Yeah.
And that added to Trump's growing fame.
Absolutely. One source even said that Marla Maples actually helped shape Trump's public image. She brought some Hollywood glitz and drama to his already flashy persona.
It's a reminder that our personal relationships, especially when they're very public, can affect how people see us. They can shape a story, reinforce a brand, or even make a celebrity seem even more interesting.
Question 41. What's the name of that controversial book that Michael Cohen, Trump's former lawyer, wrote? The one with all the details about their professional relationship and accusations about Trump's business practices. Was it A, Disloyal, a memoir, B, The Art of the Deal, or C, Fear, Trump in the White House?
Okay, so now we're in the world of those insider accounts, those tell-all books that give us a peek behind the curtain of power. They often show the messy truth about politics and personal relationships.
So The Art of the Deal. That's Trump's own book. It's all about how great he is at business and making deals. And Fear was written by Bob Woodward, the journalist who's famous for his deep reporting on presidents. Neither one of those is from Michael Cohen's point of view. You know, the guy who was once Trump's most trusted confidant.
You're right. The Art of the Deal is classic Trump, totally self-promoting. And Fear looks at how the White House works from an outsider's perspective. We want the book that exposes what happens in Trump's inner circle, the one that shows the behind-the-scenes stuff of the whole Trump empire.
You're getting warmer. The answer is Disloyal, a memoir. It came out in 2020, and it was super controversial. Cohen gave an insider account of working for Trump, claiming he did shady business, was unethical, and had a pattern of behavior that really challenged the image Trump had built over the years.
Disloyal,
Yeah.
a memoir. Yeah, the title says it all. It's a reminder that being loyal in Trump's world is a complicated thing. It can change based on what's happening and what's best for him at the moment.
Absolutely. One source even called the book a warning about being blindly loyal to a powerful person. It's a story about how wanting power and money and being afraid of what that person might do to you can lead people to compromise and do things they know are wrong.
It's a fascinating but also disturbing look at how power works.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds us that the people who operate in the shadows, they're the ones who often know the most about the true nature of the people they work for.
All right, on to question number 42. What's the name of that university in New York that Trump started? It was around from 2005 to 2010, but it got into legal trouble and had to shut down. Was it A, Trump University, B, Harvard University, or C, Yale University?
Okay, now we're looking at Trump's attempt to get into higher education. And like a lot of his ventures, it ended in controversy and lawsuits.
Harvard and Yale, come on, those are those super fancy Ivy League schools with long, impressive histories. They have nothing to do with anything Trump did in education.
Yeah, those are places that represent academic excellence, tradition, and serious intellectual stuff. We're looking for the school with Trump's name on it, the one that promised to teach people his secrets to success but didn't actually deliver.
The right answer is Trump University. It was a for-profit school that offered classes in real estate and business. They promised students inside knowledge and a way to get rich, but they got sued a lot for fraud and deceptive practices. The school finally closed down in 2010.
Trump University became like a symbol of the Trump brand. It showed how appealing his name was, but also its limitations. Success in one area doesn't mean you're an expert in everything.
Yeah. One source said Trump University was a typical example of how Trump did business. Big claims, aggressive marketing, and a willingness to exploit loopholes and manipulate the system to make money for himself.
It's a cautionary tale about the dangers of thinking that fame means expertise. And it's a reminder that we should always be careful about believing promises, especially when they're about easy solutions or guaranteed success.
Okay, on to question number 43. What's the name of that beauty pageant organization that Trump owned from 1996 to 2015? You know, the one with Miss Universe and Miss USA. Was it A, Miss America, B, Miss World, or C, Miss Universe Organization?
All right, we're in the world of beauty pageants now. Glamour, competition, and the whole idea of being physically perfect.
If you said Miss America or Miss World, well, those are different organizations. They're not the one Trump owned.
Right. Miss America and Miss World have their own histories and traditions. We want the one that had Trump's name on it, the one that became part of his brand of entertainment and spectacle.
The right answer is the Miss Universe organization. Owning this organization made him even more famous. It showed how good he was at business and how much he loved putting on big, extravagant events.
Yeah, the Miss Universe pageants, with all those sparkly costumes, fancy sets, and being seen all over the world, it was a perfect fit for the Trump brand. It was like a celebration of beauty, ambition, and wanting to be recognized on a global stage.
Absolutely. One source we read even said that being involved in beauty pageants might have influenced how Trump approached politics. It showed that he could grab people's attention, control the story, and create a spectacle that everyone watched.
It's a reminder that entertainment and politics often overlap. You see personalities, branding, and image manipulation in both worlds.
On to question 44. What's the name of that golf resort Trump owns in Scotland? You know, the one that's been controversial because of environmental worries and people in the area who oppose it. Was it A, St. Andrew's Old Course, B, Trump Turnberry, or C, Carnoustie golf links?
Back to golf. This time, we're looking at one of Trump's international businesses, a place that's been both praised and condemned. It shows how complicated things can be when you talk about development, protecting the environment, and what happens when local interests clash with global ambitions.
St. Andrew's Old Course and Carnoustie golf links. Those are iconic golf courses in Scotland. Tons of history and tradition there, but they have nothing to do with Trump.
Those are legendary courses. Golfers from all over the world dream of playing there. We're looking for the one with Trump's name on it, the one that caused all the controversy and debate about his business practices and how they affect the environment.
You're right. The answer is Trump Turnberry. It's a super fancy golf resort on the coast of southwest Scotland. It's been a source of trouble ever since Trump bought it in 2014.
Yeah. Trump Turnberry is beautiful, but the way it was developed has made people worry about environmental damage, destroying habitats, and the impact on the people who live there.
Absolutely. One source called Trump Turnberry an example of the tension between economic development and protecting the environment. It's a case study in how hard it is to make money while also safeguarding sensitive ecosystems and listening to the concerns of local residents.
Yeah. It's a reminder that business decisions, especially when they involve land and development, can have big consequences. They affect not just profits, but also the environment, communities, and the balance of nature.
Okay. Question 45. What's the name of that city in Panama where they built a luxury hotel and condo tower with Trump's name on it? You know, the one that had financial problems and had to be renamed. Was it A, Panama City, B, or C, David?
Now we're going to Panama, another one of Trump's international business deals. This project shows the ups and downs of the real estate market, how attractive luxury branding can be, and the challenges of making complicated business deals in other countries.
Colin and David are cities in Panama, but they're not where this particular Trump-branded project was.
We're looking for the city that's become a center for international business and tourism, a place with lots of skyscrapers on the coast, where fancy developments cater to the global elite.
You're on the right track. The answer is Panama City. The Trump International Hotel and Tower there was a really high-profile project, this shiny tower that promised luxury living and amazing views. But it got into legal and financial trouble, so they had to rename it in 2018.
Yeah, the Panama City project shows that even the biggest, most ambitious plans can fail, especially in the unpredictable world of real estate. It's a story of risk, reward, and how much global markets can change.
Exactly. One source said the Panama City project was a warning about the dangers of using a famous brand name without making sure the business itself is solid. It shows that even the most prestigious names can lose their shine when there's mismanagement, lawsuits, and market changes.
It's a lesson for any business, not just real estate. A strong brand is great, but you also need careful planning, ethical behavior, and a good understanding of the market.
Question number 46. What's the name of the book that journalist Mary Jordan wrote about Melania Trump? You know, the one that's like a detailed biography looking at her life before and during her time as First Lady. Was it A, The Art of Her Deal, The Untold Story of Melania Trump, B, Melania and Me, The Story of My Friendship with Melania Trump, or C, Fire and Fury, Inside the Trump White House?
Okay, so now we're focusing on Melania Trump. She's remained a bit of a mystery, even though she was First Lady and in the public eye so much.
So Melania and Me is a memoir by Stephanie Winston Wolkoff, a former friend and advisor to Melania. And Fire and Fury was more about how the Trump administration worked. It gave a broad view, not a deep dive into Melania's life.
Right. Melania and Me was personal, and Fire and Fury was more about the craziness of the Trump White House in general. We want the book that's all about Melania's story, her journey from a small town in Slovenia to the world stage.
The correct answer is The Art of Her Deal. The Untold Story of Melania Trump. It was written by Mary Jordan, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist. The book tries to figure out the mystery surrounding Melania. It looks at where she grew up, her modeling career, her marriage to Donald Trump, and her time as First Lady.
The Art of Her Deal. It's kind of like a play on Donald Trump's famous book, but it suggests that Melania is a force to be reckoned with on her own. Yeah. You know, she's a woman who's figured out how to handle power and fame in her own way.
Yeah, that's a good point. One source described the book as a balanced portrait of a woman who people often underestimate. They said even though she seems reserved, she's got a strong will, she's smart, and she knows how to use her position to get what she wants.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that even the people who are married to these powerful figures, they can still have influence, make their own choices, and impact history in their own ways.
All right. Question number 47. This one's a bit sensitive. What's the name of that adult film actress who said she had an affair with Donald Trump and then got paid to keep quiet about it? Was it A, Stormy Daniels, B, Jenna Jameson, or C, Sasha Grey?
Oh, boy. This takes us back to one of the biggest scandals of Trump's presidency, a story that was all over the tabloids, sparked lawsuits, and made people question everything from infidelity to hush money payments and the abuse of power.
If you picked Jenna Jameson or Sasha Grey, well, you'd be wrong. They're both famous in the adult film industry, but they weren't involved in this particular mess.
Yeah. We're talking about the woman whose accusations really shook up the Trump White House and started a legal battle that was in the news for months.
Exactly. The answer is Stormy Daniels. Her real name is Stephanie Clifford, but she's known by her stage name. Her allegations and the whole legal fight that followed it reveal a lot about the underbelly of Trump's world, the kind of stuff that doesn't always make it into the official biographies or the carefully crafted public image.
Yeah, it was a story that combined politics, celebrity, sex, and money. All the ingredients for a major scandal. And it definitely tarnished Trump's reputation, even among some of his supporters.
It definitely raised questions about his character, his judgment, and whether he was willing to use his power and influence to silence those who might damage his reputation.
All right. Moving on to question number 48. What is the name of the social media platform that was favored by many of Donald Trump's supporters, especially those who felt that mainstream platforms were censoring conservative viewpoints? Was it A, Facebook, B, Twitter, or C, Parler?
So Facebook and Twitter, those are the giants of social media, but they weren't always seen as welcoming spaces for Trump's most diehard fans.
Right. Those platforms tried to crack down on misinformation and hate speech, which sometimes meant limiting the reach of content from Trump and his supporters. And that led to accusations of bias and censorship, fueling the sense that conservative voices were being silenced.
Exactly. And that's where Parler came in. The answer is Parler. It was designed as a kind of free speech alternative to Twitter, a place where users could post pretty much anything they wanted without fear of being censored.
Parler became really popular with conservatives, especially those who felt like they were being unfairly targeted by the bigger social media companies.
It created this echo chamber effect, where people were mainly interacting with others who shared their views, which reinforced their existing beliefs and often led to the spread of misinformation and conspiracy theories.
It's a reminder of how social media can be used to both connect people and divide them, to foster a sense of community and to create these isolated bubbles where people are only exposed to information that confirms what they already believe.
Okay, question number 49. What is the name of the former First Lady who was married to Donald Trump from 1993 to 1999? Was it A, Ivana Trump, B, Marla Maples, or C, Melania Trump?
Back to Trump's marital history. We're focusing on the second of his three wives.
Choosing Ivana or Melania would mean mixing up the timeline of his marriages. We're talking about the one who was his wife during a very specific time in his life, when his image was changing and he was becoming more of a celebrity.
Right. Ivana was the first wife, the one who was by his side as he became a big name in New York. And Melania is his current wife, the one who had to navigate being First Lady. We're looking for the one who was between those two periods.
The answer is Marla Maples. Their relationship and marriage were like tabloid gold. It was this whole spectacle that everyone was talking about back in the 90s.
Marla Maples.
Yeah.
Yeah, she brought a different kind of glamour to the Trump world. She was a Hollywood actress, and she definitely added to his celebrity status.
Absolutely. One source even suggested that Marla Maples actually played a role in how Trump's public image developed. She added a touch of Hollywood sparkle and drama to his already flamboyant personality.
It's a good reminder that our personal relationships, especially when they're super public, can influence how people see us. They can become part of a story, help build a brand, or even make a celebrity seem even more fascinating.
All right. Question number 50. What is the name of Donald Trump's youngest child, his son with Melania Trump? Was it A, Barron, B, Donald Jr., or C, Eric?
Okay, so now we're back to the Trump family tree. We're focusing on the youngest member of the clan.
Choosing Donald Jr. or Eric would mean mixing up the Trump brothers. Remember, we've already talked about them.
Right. We've gotten to know the Trump kids pretty well through this quiz. We're looking for the one who's the youngest, the one who grew up with his dad as president.
The correct answer is Barron. He was born in 2006, which makes him significantly younger than his siblings. He's had a very different experience growing up in the spotlight, especially during his father's time in the White House.
Yeah. I'm so curious about Barron's perspective on everything. Growing up in such a public and often chaotic family, it's got to be a unique experience.
Definitely. It's like, how do you even process being the child of a president when you're still trying to figure out who you are as a person?
It's a story that we might not hear for a while until Barron's ready to share his own perspective on the whole Trump saga. But it's a story that I think a lot of people will be interested in hearing. It's a reminder that even within these larger-than-life families, there are individuals who are still finding their own way, navigating their own challenges, and trying to make sense of their place in the world.
So that was it, everyone. We've made it through our Trump Trivia Challenge. 60 questions later, we've explored a lot, the good, the bad, and everything in between.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. We covered his family, his businesses, his political career, his personality, how he's changed America, and why people are so fascinated by him, whether they love him or hate him.
I hope this was as eye-opening for you as it was for me. Even someone as famous as Trump can still surprise us. There's always something new to learn, new connections to make, and new ways to see things.
I totally agree. Even if you didn't ace the quiz, I hope you had fun and maybe learned a thing or two along the way.
Remember, trivia isn't just about memorizing facts. It's about being curious, seeing things from different angles, and having interesting conversations.
And most importantly, it's about having fun. So thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Trump trivia. We'll be back with another fascinating topic that will make you think and teach you something new.
Until then, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep on learning.